What's up, everybody? It's your girl Erica from the Classy Climb blog. It's 5 o'clock traffic here in Austin, so I said, let me pull over, let me get a cup of coffee, let me relax, and talk to you about something that has been on my mind. The number one indicator in the whole United States of America to wonder whether you are middle class or not is access to reasonable credit rates. Again, there are several articles. If you just type it in, I know y'all, give me the link. Type into your computer, into Google, because we're going to teach you here how to research on this channel. Number one indicator for middle class is access to reasonable credit. If you could, when you come in, hit the like button, drop your city and state, because it helps me plan events. We may do a pop-up event in Oakland, but we got to check South by Southwest flights, because those rides from Anaheim to Oakland are ridiculous. You can just hop on a plane and be an hour, be there. It's much better. So the thing, in order for us to plan more events and connect with more people, we got to see where you guys are at, right? And I'm going to go deep into this. Because there are so many things that happened on the internet earlier and on Facebook. I just want to go over it, and it shows what people are not ready for. People are not ready for any kind of hiccup in the economy. As you know, Instagram and Facebook have been down all day. Some places can post pictures, some places can't. Some things have been happening, some things haven't. And people have been losing their ever-loving minds, because people have built whole businesses around Facebook, Instagram. And every time I go over there to play or do something on Instagram, I go, this is why I love YouTube. And this is also why I keep a website. Because at the end of the day, I know people love to say, well, I don't need a website. All I need is a landing page for my business, just a one-page business, which I'll talk about that in a 6-figure YouTube course. But to this day, there's still these incidents that happen where you have no access to Instagram, you have no access to Facebook, your clients can't reach you, your ads aren't running, things don't run, and you have no backup. These people don't have an email list. You know how many people I've been on their email list, and 4 or 5 people email me today from their email list like, hey, Instagram is down, but you can still have access to A, B, and C, and gave us some good information inside the email. Why am I bringing this up? What does this have to do with access to credit? Of course, I put together the funding course, and immediately after some people purchased, which we had a solid 300 people purchase, so thank you all who purchased the funding course, I started getting phone calls. I started getting consults. I was like, okay, they must have a problem. They must need help, or they must need some assistance in the funding course. And 9 times out of 10, this is what happened. People do not follow instruction. People are naming their businesses all kind of ridiculous things for no reason. People, when I clearly stay in every video all the time, you can go back 2-3 years, where I'm literally telling people to name their businesses, these 3 things: company, management, or services. And that's it. Any of these little fancy names and silly names, all you're doing is flagging yourself in a system. And when people don't follow instruction and then they hit their head, they're like, oh man, I got to get a new LLC. Well, you don't have to, but you're going to keep hitting your head. So it's up to you, okay? And what happens is people fall into traps. Now, in the funding course, I talk about the different types of credit, the cash advance, the merchant advance that you see all the time on the phone, the expensive loans where you're borrowing $7,000, but you're paying back $11,000. That's expensive credit. These payday loans, these title loans, these things these people are taking out are indicators that they're not middle class, because they don't have several different banks, several different ways and lines of credit to have access to. Now, I went to my CPA's office the other day, my accountant, and we sat there for 2 hours going over books, going over the investment club, going over the trucks, going over the real estate, just back and forth. Taxes, my previous taxes from the year before. We did a lot of stuff, okay? And what we end up learning is, 1, gonna save like $20,000. Perfect, love it. 2, is he was like, man, you're a go-getter. You've got documents and be getting $100,000 to $150,000 business credit loans. You have the documentation. You have everything lined up. You should be getting huge amounts of loans. You know what you need to do? I used to be at that bank you're at. In the 1990s, when we built 100 houses, The company he was with, they wouldn't even give them loan for 10 houses. He's like, they've been strict since the 90s. Go to this bank. I know the owners of that bank. Go over there. They are going to give you this loan. Now, many will say, well, Erica, that's because you got a CPA and you know them and you're paying them and all this other stuff. You have to learn how to do business. Many of them well, we already had our first person blocked. We had a loser on the channel already talking crazy, and now they are blocked. They are blocked. They're probably posting things and no one can see what they're posting, and they don't have a life, so they're here trying to, argue on a channel because they have no life. So anyway, all right, so finish what I'm saying. I'm in the office with the CPA, doing business with them. He's telling me, hey, I know the owners of that bank. They got started because so many people in Texas were having problems with other banks, famous Texas banks. Now, you know my rule of thumb, whether you took the funding course or you took some of my other courses, smaller the bank, you need to be in front of the decision maker. This is the number one thing you'll learn in sales courses. You need to be in front of the decision maker. Okay? The decision maker is the person who can say, I'm going to sign off on a $50,000 to $250,000 loan with you in front of me right now. Now, when I'm at the bank, I'm at Texas Bank. I don't want any drama with them. So I'm saying I'm at 3 different Texas banks. But one of them, I got the runaround for a $15,000 line of credit. I was just, hey, you guys just give me whatever you got. Oh yeah, here's 15. 15? My other 2 banks gave me $30,000 and $50,000 lines of credit. So when I shared that with him, that's when I got the help, right? Same thing with my dentist. When I was in the office with my dentist and I'm telling my dentist to hold on, I'm doing something on the phone for one of the trucks. He was like, I have a truck in the oil fields. He would have never relinquished that information if he hadn't known the situation. Or I hadn't made him aware of waiting for a few seconds so I could finish the phone call. And see, what you got on YouTube is a bunch of men and women complaining about banks, complaining about lending, and not figuring out ways around these things. Again, I believe racism and white supremacy in America are like a 3-toothed dog. It's old, it's trying to hold on to you, but you gotta fight. I don't know anybody in this world or any country in this world where you're gonna attain power by asking pretty please. Pretty please give me some power. Pretty please. That doesn't happen. It doesn't happen in America, and it don't happen anywhere in the world. So I've told you guys in the funding course and many other videos and other courses, there's 1,200 business banks in America. The people you're watching on Instagram that are out here living their Instagram life, what they're not telling you, and which they do if you let them talk or you actually listen to their lives. A lot of you don't listen. You kind of watch, you kind of listen, but then you turn off or you're at work. Homeboy got $17 million in lines of credit, but you didn't listen to the part where he had 177 LLCs. See, that part you missed. You guys are sitting here arguing about one LLC, and this boy got 177. Again, I'm going to make a series of videos talking about the last 6 months of 2019, and what to expect in 2020. But it's going to be rough for you who are sitting here haggling and crying and like, I got to pay $100 for an LLC. Now, listen, some of you who live in New York and California, I feel for you. You have expensive states that have expensive LLCs. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the folks that are in the South and other places who you can cough out $100 every weekend to go out to the movies with your whole fam or throw a cookout at your house. That's an easy $100. But yet you won't set up the opportunities. To grow your business. Yes, exactly. Alternative financial loans are, of course, good. I really prefer lines of credit. So, in his business. So, the article basically stated, when you start seeing people getting the title loans, the payday loans, they're getting these really high interest rate loans. Even when the businesses are taking the cash advance merchant loans, those are considered lower credit. And the interest rates are high because of it. You are not middle class or upper middle class if you're taking those loans. You're not. Because you should have various, I mean, again, I say you should have 10, 12, 14, 15 barriers between you and homelessness, but most people don't listen to that. A lot of people say, well, Eric, I got your ladder income book, and I'm just trying to figure out how to listen. If you're not in a position to straight out go buy a house or a property or a rental, what you should be doing at this moment is laddering your income. You should be having some stocks, some bonds, some bank certificates, some notes, some different types of things laddered. So when you fill out your paperwork, and I wish I had an empty application in the car, I really don't. But if you ever pull up a bank loan, business loan application, business line of credit application, it'll show you all these different places where, do you own real estate? Do you own notes? Where's your insurance? Again, people think insurance is like, well, Eric, I don't need insurance. I'm young. I had $1 million insurance when I went to go apply for this loan a couple years ago. And the guy was like, I knew you were serious about your business in YouTube because you got insurance and the size of it. You don't know what could happen to you. And again, people are filling out these bank forms, and I've talked to several people. They don't have anything filled out. They don't own any houses. They don't own any investments. They don't have any assets. They got huge student loans and huge car debt. But yet they're saying the banks are being racist and predatory and all these things. Again, if you have one bank turn you down, in any city almost in the whole United States, there's 100 to 300 banks in your city. Credit unions, financial institutions. There's a lot of options. So if you tell me you got turned down by one bank or 10, I'm going to look at you crazy and go, you didn't go look at the other 30 in your city? You didn't go look at the other 45 banks in your city? You have to fight for this. No one's going to hand you something easily. And you can blame all the things you want to blame. That's fine. Or you can figure out how to play the game and win. That's just simply how it is. And when I'm on here and you got these people name calling and doing all this silly stuff, I know they're not winning in their everyday life. You can't be. If your mind is there, you're not winning in everyday life. There's a prime example I'm gonna share with on Facebook earlier. This guy was saying, there's a video went viral where the daughter absolved the father of his child support. Right? She filled out a paper for her mom. Her mom signed it. Essentially, she said this father, the past 20 years of his life, because she's 21 at this point, he's been struggling. He's getting his license revoked. He's been getting put out of apartments. He's went to jail. And I was like, well, dang, how much did the man pay? He paid $14,000 over the course of 18 years. So on average, when they averaged it out, about $68. In order for the man to get his license revoked, to get the apartment, and all these things happen to him, he had to be behind by $10,000, $12,000. Huge amounts. Thousands of dollars. Huge amounts. And even then, the state tries to work with you, because if you put a few hundreds on it every month, the state will go, look, the man's trying to work. He's putting 100 here, 100 there. What it shows is that man has probably ignored for years I have to pay something. He's ignored it. And so financially, he suffered. And everywhere they're praising this daughter for this action of releasing him from this debt, when really we should be praising her mother for financially stepping up and taking care of this child. This person is a low financial producer. And so there's several groups promoting this. And I go, this is a shame. This man at some point in his life had to step up financially to not only take care of himself, but his kids. Okay? And of course, people are in there calling me names, yelling, oh, you don't know. There was one man, he shared a story like, yeah, my daughter's 39 years old now, and I went through all this drama, and I paid, $100 back in the day. And I literally respond to that man by saying, your daughter's 40 years old. You're talking about paying child support in the 1980s. These people are dealing with the 2000s. You're so bitter. You're still talking about something that's 40 years old. Go get counseling. You need counseling. If you ever go on anybody's YouTube channel and they're 50 years old or 40 years old or 60 years old, and they're talking about something that happened to them at 18 years old, they need counseling. They need counseling. That's literally the answer to this equation. You need counseling. You have mental health problems. You're stuck in some trauma. That is a traumatic experience for you that you're still bringing up. You need counseling. But you know what can help you with that counseling? Some money. Again, number one indicator for if you're middle class is access to reasonable credit. There's a thing called care credit. Now, many people say, well, no one should be bankrupt in America from medical care. No one is. No medical facility in the United States has the right to turn you away from medical care. Not one. Not one. But yet you hear this mantra, well, people aren't going to the doctor because they don't have care. They don't have money. Middle class people have access to care credit. On top of that, Christians in the United States have access to Christian networks that you actually can join, and they will pay your debt. They just had a church pay $2 million in debt of over 4,000 people, random people in their church. You also had just incident as they have a Muslim, I'm not speaking for the Muslims, but there is a Muslim financial network. There is a Jewish healthcare financial network, right? There are so many opportunities for people to not be financially in a hole when it comes to healthcare. There are opportunities everywhere. You may think I'm making this up, but go look up. There's a thing called 1 million white scholarships. There's scholarships across America where you could be Irish, Italian, Jewish, whatever, and they're for you. So you hear these arguments that people are making because these people are not doing well financially in life. They're not. The arguments they are making are arguments that someone who's not doing well makes. Sorry, I wanna be nosy and look at this lady walk by. Sorry. So I gotta put the shades on. I'm trying to see this, like, be nosy. So again, number one indicator for middle class status is access to reasonable credit. So when you see these articles where people are saying these people are getting redlined, that's not the only mortgage company in that city, in that town, in that state. You have to start realizing there's a thing called mortgage broker. A mortgage broker, what a broker does is they have access to hundreds, if not thousands, of financial programs across the whole United States in order for you to get access to a property or housing. And so we have to start teaching people how to use the cell phones, the computers that are with them in order to have a better financial life. No one's going to give you a better financial life. You are going to have to fight for it. And now more than ever, is it ever important for you guys to fight for it? So many people are getting lost in the weeds when this is the prime time for you to make it. Now, I think you've heard me on many channels, you've heard many podcasts where they're just giving out loans, they're giving out business lines of credit left and right, and it's usually indicator of right before a crash. Now, when I put the funding course together, I made it very clear in the funding course, you should only be taking funding for income producing assets. This woman is crazy, y'all. Her dog is weird. She's weird and the dog's weird. Sorry. You should only be taking these loans for investments that make income, that put you in a better position. What you had happen in the last recession was people kept using their house like an ATM. They know they have to pay their mortgage because they need somewhere to live. So as they had equity in their home, they would cash out the equity in their home, pay off their cars, pay off their vacations, pay off their credit cards, and then run it back up again because the behavior didn't change. And there's 32 likes and 150 of y'all here. Definitely hit the like button. Hit the like button. Let me see what you guys are talking about in here before I continue. What's up, Atlanta, Memphis, Hollywood, California, Jacksonville, Florida, Chicago, Charlotte, Atlanta in the house, Birmingham, Alabama. Let me tell you a little story about Birmingham, Alabama. I'm on the plane coming back from Belize. The man takes my seat. I'm pissed. He takes my seat. But then he can barely walk. He can barely get himself to the bathroom. There's a lot going on with this guy. Well, come to find out, after being the plane got, all these stops and defers. What do you call them? We got turned around, and then we had to go back to Houston because of the storm. Dude lost 72 pounds in a year. He was dying of cancer. And his last resort, instead of dying in Belize, was to fly home to Birmingham, Alabama. to see his 35-year-old son that the last time he pretty much spent time with him when he was 5 years old and die. Now, I'm not telling you that story to depress you, by no means. But I'm telling you, when the whole time I was in the airport, there were people who were either newlyweds or half dying. And you got to make a decision that you're either going to take care of yourself well enough that you can go out of this world how you want, or you can at least live well while you're here, or you're going to be living with some bad choices. The choices come for you either way. Sacramento, California, Atlanta, Huntsville, Alabama, what's up? Glad I bought an SEO class on Udemy for $13. Congratulations, Trey. Thanks for the information. I purchased 20 acres of land in Texas, and I'm on my way to purchasing more land and rental properties. Congratulations, Leslie. What are you doing? Are you going to put duplexes on the homes? Are you building single-family homes? Are you selling a few acres at a time? What are you doing? Because my friend here in Austin, whose grandfather is a millionaire, multimillionaire, he passed away recently. He owned 100-acre lots all over this one place called Weatherford, Texas. And what he would do is most people couldn't afford to buy 100 acres, but they could buy 1 acre, a half an acre, or 5 acres, or 3. And he would just divide them. So imagine you had 100 acres. And if you look on realtor.com or landandfarm.com right now, you guys, you'll see 100 acres depending on the area. If you're way out in the country, you'll go for 130,000. If you're closer to the city, you'll go for $500,000. Depends on the city, right? Just giving you rough numbers for Georgetown, Texas. But what happens is, if you divide 1 acre, you could charge someone $20,000 for 1 acre, which sounds high. $10,000 to $20,000 for 1 acre. Anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000 for 1 acre. So let's just say $20,000 for sake of argument. Charge them $20,000 for 1 acre times 100. Now you've, if not tripled, quadrupled your income. Now somebody in the comments help me out here. Put 100 times 20,000, and what do we get? Someone in the comments tell me the number for 100 times 20,000 and tell me what we get here. Columbia, South Carolina, to the wall. That's right, trolls are going to be to the wall is where they will go. Solve problems, don't complain about them. Exactly. Business is warfare. We must understand the concept if we want to be successful. Yes, there's no handouts here, right? In America, people say capitalism makes winners and losers. Actually, I think capitalism in America makes low gear riders. Now, what do I mean low gear riders? Listen to the book, Lead the Field. I think it's mind changing. I've listened to it about 12 times. I listen to it while I'm on flights, while I fall asleep on the flight, I'm listening to it. But again, no one in America is forcing you to perform at a high gear. No one's forcing you. You're not forced in this country. You are completely, it's your own choice. Now, if you don't perform at a high gear, what happens? Now, if you grew up like a family like mine, they go, you'd be homeless. You can be this homeless man out here. Or you can be, living in a bad situation if you don't learn how to perform. All right? And what does performing? Get a job, take care of yourself. And there's a lot of people I'm seeing who just never were able to take care of themselves. They're still living with their grandparents. They're still living with their parents. The sacrifice of having to work a second job or get a different job or get a different skill to pay rent to live on their own, they will not do and they cannot do. That's low performing. You cannot call yourself middle class. Even if you get a college degree and you're working real well, but you can't afford to live by yourself, you are not middle class. You are working class. That's something we have to talk about in this country. You got to take power you want, bulldoze to get something. My daughter has LLC. There you go. Stephanie with an 8. What's up, AM1? Child support should not have to pay their child support, period. A child should not have to pay. Well, the child didn't pay it. What they did is they filled out a sheet of paper that basically released him from the debt. And cities and states have started, the more and more they're doing this, because sometimes women get remarried. The guy just is honestly a low performer. Like, this guy's a low performer. He just is. If he cannot stay afloat over 20 years because of a $200 a month child support order, this guy's a low performer. Okay. And no matter how people try to clean it up and say the laws are terrible, the laws are basically, if you are, and let me put a little caveat. If you live in Alaska, you live in New York, a lot of times those child support orders start at $1,000. They just do, because of the climate, because of the environment, because of the cost of raising children in those areas. Those guys can gripe all day and night. I'm okay with those guys griping. $1,000 is significant, especially when you're only making about $3,000 a month. But the average child support order in this country is around $250 a month. So when people are complaining, I'm like, I just can't support you in that. You, Country Wayne, the reason I think he's so loved and adored, not just because he's funny, is the fact that he had 9 children at a young age, and he realized I have to financially support these kids, and I have to figure out a way. I have to figure out a way. I have to make more money. I have to own businesses, and that's what he did. He owned businesses at a young age. What's up, Kentucky? MIC in the house. Trey said, get her a laptop to ATM course, y'all. It's worth its weight in gold. Thank you. Atlanta, Georgia, Phoenix. Leave that man alone. He had a good 20-year life, please. Well, when I talked to the man, essentially what he was saying was that, that basically he had a little some woman down there, and he thought the kid was his, and it wasn't. It never was his kid, and he just been, then she left him, and he just been struggling ever since, right? So I'm like, he made his choices, right? He made his life. No, it was actually 30 years. His son was 35. And he had to use our phone, one of my friend's phone on the plane, because his phone wouldn't work for whatever reason. It wouldn't work outside of Belize. He called him and said, hey, my plane's going to be delayed. I probably won't leave to Birmingham till tomorrow. Just letting you know. And the guy pretty much was like, whatever. He didn't even care. And I'm like, you can't expect a high level of care from children you haven't been involved in. So $2 million, $4 million. Yeah. So essentially my friend, grandfather, and he did this repeatedly. He would have 100-acre lots, and he'd sell 1 acre or 5 acres or 3 acres for $20K. And this is very popular. A lot of farm families try to do this. Now, this is the caveat. When you do that, what usually comes back and bites you is you've zoned it from agricultural to residential. And so they try to get you with some taxes in that way. But yeah, so, 20,000 times 100, y'all do the math. Old boy made about a good $2 million, okay? And he was making lots of money. He had several of those 100-acre lots. The funny thing is that's a common way people get money in here. I'm categorizing below middle income. It's okay if you are, but you can get out of that. You can move up. It's just recognizing where you are so you can decide what you need to do. Again, the book Frugal Woods is good. The book Average is Over good, because here's the thing. I know some people right now who, I looked at their house and I was like, what in the world? And their best thing is, my house is paid off. All I got to worry about is property taxes. They're driving an old Toyota Camry, and they're content. They got each other. Their kids are grown. No one's living with them. It's just them two and their medication, and they're content. Now, those people are in their they're 61 and 65. But those people are older. If you're in your 20s and 30s and you have young children, you're going to have to redo that math on that. You're going to have to redo the math on that. And I see people all the time moving further and further out of Austin, Texas. And that's fine. Go live your Chip and Joanna Gaines life. But at the end of the day, you have to reset the bar for what is happiness for you. So, but I had to go over that. I had to go over that because I keep seeing that answer and question. And a lot of people say, well, Erica, should I pay my student loan debt off before I invest? Here's the truth. It depends on the amount. Some of you are sitting around with $20,000 student loan debt that you have for 10, 20 years, because honestly, if you do the math on 10 years of $20,000 student loan debt, you'd only pay $100, $150 a month. That's $35 a week. I maybe misquote myself, but I think it's about $35. That's $35 a week. So you're telling me the past 10 years you haven't had $35 a week to pay on a student loan? Probably not. I'm not going to lie to you, Rach. I probably won't do any review on that. That doesn't really interest me. But, if Peter Schiff said something crazy, maybe I will. I'll do one, but it has to be something in the news that will make me do a conversation on that. So, not really. But you have to do the math on that. If you ask me, should you pay off debt before you invest? It depends on who you are. If you can make more money, then invest. Buy a house a year, and in 10 years, you have a different life than everybody you know. The thing is, we settle on a low gear in America, a very low gear. And what do I mean about settling on a low gear? You want to fit in, you want to belong, you want to be a part of the community, so you just kind of cruise along with everybody else. Then you wake up at 40 or 45 and realize you got to take care of your mom and daddy and them because they're old. They can't go like they used to say go. And you're taking care of young teenagers or college age students. You know, there's so many black women I'm meeting who are like, oh, my kids are grown, but they're sitting there with a house full of grandkids at 45 and 50. You're watching grandkids every weekend because your kids can't afford to be an adult by themselves. That's not a win. Sister, that's not a win. You ain't winning that way, okay? So again, what are some of the things I think you guys should do and shift towards is getting better lines of credit to use for investment, because let's keep it real. A lot of people showed you on Facebook and a lot of these credit repair groups where they got $30,000, $25,000 Navy Federal Credit business credit cards. And when you would ask them what did they do with the Navy Federal business credit cards, a lot of them told them I didn't know what to do with it. I'm not doing anything. I'm just holding it. I'm working on my credit. I'm keeping my credit nice. To me, that is a terrible answer. It's like having a hammer and not knowing how to hammer a nail. If I give you something and you don't know how to use it, I might as well have not given it to you, to be honest, because you don't know what to do with it. Period. Now, I know a guy right now who has 5 stores, t-shirt production stores, and he's mad because the bank will only give him $50,000 lines of credit. And I go, look, man, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to open another store? The bank's giving you what they think you're going to do. If you're going to open another store, it only costs you like 20 grand to open another store. You print the t-shirts all at one location because the machine's there. Why would the bank give you $100,000, $200,000? You're not showing them that you're going to do anything bigger than open up another location. Yeah. So, biggest thing I would tell people, if you can get vacant plots of land and go on houseplans.com, you'll see what I'm talking about. Houseplans.com, you can get up whole house plans that a builder can use, that the bank will approve funding for. Again, people are cruising in at a low gear, and there's nothing wrong with having some weekends in a low gear. I'm not saying your whole life has to be work. I'm not saying that. But if you choose for your life to not be work, you can't complain. Can't have it both ways. Has to be one or the other. So I hope that made sense to you guys. I hope you understand. I know some of you came in late, but the number one indicator for being middle class in America is access to reasonable credit rates. One Main Financial is not reasonable. Title loans, not reasonable. Payday loans, not reasonable. What is reasonable? Business lines of credit. I have a business line of credit for $20K at one account and $40K at another, and the interest rate on it is 4.99. And one of them is 6.99, but the rest are all 4.99. That's reasonable. Some people are here paying $20,000, 20% and 26% interest on loans. The average car payment right now is sitting around $500. That means these people are paying high interest on these loans. Got to be 17%, 18%. Way high. That's dangerous. Because what can they get in return? What can they get in return? Dead money just sitting. That's what it is. Use the funding to buy a rental or a truck to produce the income. Yeah. And for me, you see, it's not that I'm not buying any more trucks. I'm just letting it all settle. Like letting it show, letting it grow, letting it just show in the bank accounts. And I've got to review. I have a truck video for you guys that I've been working on, but I'm just keeping it in the back pocket. I probably will finish it out in December, honestly. Just kind of giving you my year in review of the trucking industry and how it's affected me. Smooth Day Smooth. He asked me to buy a tax lien or deed in another state. Do I need to have an LLC in that state or my home state? That doesn't matter. Honestly, you can have a LLC in your regular state you live in. Doesn't matter. Because a tax lien is just a tax lien. Tax lien certificate, like Alabama or Indiana, means you're acquiring the property. Or Maryland means you're acquiring the property. So different. That's a whole nother video, whole nother conversation. But you can always Google in the search tax lien videos, because I have probably 100 of them on this bad boy. I sell the tax lien course every day. People still are buying that every day. And what's going to happen, you're going to have people buying the tax lien course more when The economy has a rough patch, which is it's already due. Which site can you get the funding course on? The funding course is on the regular site, the real estate, big real estate life course website, which it'll be in the description after this video renders. But you know, the funding course, I basically lay out everything you guys need to start going to banks and getting funding and getting yourself set up. But the thing of it is, follow the instructions. You know, don't try to have the cool fancy business name because I want to be different. You do that on your own, man. Trav, I'm broke. From NYC, in order to be middle class, is $175,000. Facts. And what you'll see is a lot of people from New York either moving or investing out of state. So when I was, goodness, that's crazy. So when I was in Ohio, in Detroit, there were a lot of people from Ohio there investing. There are a lot of people from California there investing. There are a lot of people from New York investing. Why? They're chasing returns. And let's say you have 10 rental properties in Detroit, kicking you $8 to $9 grand a month, basically paying for themselves in a couple years. That $8 to $9 grand a month lets you live comfortably in New York. That 8 or 9 grand a month lets you live, because you're still working probably, but that 8 or 9 grand in rental properties lets you live comfortably. Again, my family in North Carolina, and thank you for several people who came up to me at the event afterwards in Baltimore and told me that you own rental property in North Carolina. Good job, because you are ahead of most people. Once you get 3 properties, you're in the top 1% of America. Now, Bernie Sanders had this whole thing that he's been preaching about forever, but after the last campaign, he had a vacation home and another home. Now that put him at 3 homes. That in America made him a part of the 1%. And he's out here preaching about against money. Again, I told you what's going to happen in the next heavy part of the recession is you're going to see people that are claiming to be middle class get a wake-up call. Because middle class actually means you have leisure time. The old definition means you have leisure time, technically means your wife stays at home. And I watched a video, Andre Hatchett, I'm going to link it. I'm going to share it in the community, where he's on a panel with these women and men talking about marriage and these guys kind of being homosexuals, moving in with these women, needing places to stay. And one woman on the panel was like, oh, you know, it doesn't matter to go 50-50. And to me, that's a dangerous play. If y'all can't live off one person's income, that's dangerous. You're playing with fire. Because if you're a woman, you're having a baby. If you're not having a baby, you're not, I'm just saying, listen, doing the math, mathematically, you're going to have children and you're going to take a break. And so many couples, I've did over 6,000 phone calls. So many people will call and consult, and not just with me, with others, when the wife has a baby and the money gets shaken, or she doesn't want to go back to work. Already hidden from the channel. I don't have time for it. Doesn't want to go back to work, or different things. That's just, you cannot count on 2 people. You're like, hey, we're in this together, we're a team. But again, when it comes to those marriages and those like situations you guys are playing with, that's dangerous. That 50-50 lifestyle, that's silly and dangerous. You should only want to be with somebody who's going to step up to the plate and go, hey, I've got it. This house, we will maintain. We will be okay. Like, you should never want to be with somebody who's like, well, I got a little bit. I'm just here doing my part. Like, nah, we're not roommates. Those aren't real relationships. They're relationships, but they're not good ones. How about that? One Main Financial try staying to get at me. Timothy Walker, fight them. Block them. That's the thing. It's, as you improve your credit, I've heard so many people say, this one girl said she had 187 pieces of mail for credit cards as she cleaned her credit up over 6 months. Lucky for her, she was trying to get a house in Dallas, so she didn't fall for it. For those of you in the comments, if you received at least 2 pieces of mail this month from credit card companies, drop a 1 in the comments, because I'm trying to see something. Because I've noticed at my mailbox and at all the mailboxes at the post office, in the trash can now is just like huge numbers of applications for credit cards. So if you've gotten like 2 pieces of mail this past month for credit cards, put a 1 in the comments. I'm just trying to see if it's just my post office I go to, or everybody. Thank you, Urban H. Thank you for all the info you provide. I found the topics on your channel and the info you provide are at least 3 to 6 months ahead of the national news. I've learned a lot from watching you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I mean, I really pretty much study and read about 3-4 hours a day. I took a screenshot of my phone, but because Instagram was messing up, I didn't post it. But I literally have a news scroll that scrolls on my phone, and all my news is in different sectors: food, agricultural, news. Like last night, perfect example. Last night, and Terry's a perfect example of focus. Last night I was on Terry was on the channel, and her course is amazing. Everybody I've seen work and get that course have done well. She was talking about she doesn't focus on all the big news because she focuses on that one particular stock or the stocks on her list that will move $1 a day. And she gets her wins, and she gets in and gets out. 20 minutes, 2 hours, whatever, 4 hours, gets in and gets out. You need that part of it, but you also need the part of kind of knowing what's going on around you in the background noise. And that's kind of what I do. I kind of scan it, and I look around. I look around Austin. I look around Dallas. People say, oh, Austin's unique. Yeah, I want to live in cities that are going to be outliers, that are going to make it. So that's why I live here. And I invest back in my hometown. Because there are steady government components. But Terry's comments were perfect for what I was trying to say last night. This is good coffee. Coffee for, let's see what y'all got in here. You guys hit the like button. What pregnant woman wants to keep working? Thank you. I mean, I haven't even been pregnant in my adult life. Disclaimer, never in my whole life. But every pregnant woman I've met, once they get pregnant, they're like, I am done with this work thing. I can spend time with these children. And honestly, if you look at the studies, children that go to daycare earlier ages are more aggressive and angry. There's a time in your child's life where you're supposed to be just kind of loving on them, hugging on them. Studies show the more you hug your children, the bigger their brains are. I mean, there's a lot of studies proving that basically, I know people don't want to hear this, but if you're a mom, you need to be home for at least the first year, because they don't function as well and they're not as happy, period. I know people don't want to hear that. Call me old school, call me whatever you want, but it's the truth. I mean, at the end of the day, study after study just shows it's better if you get that, at least the first year time where you're constantly nurturing and treating your children a certain way. So again, don't believe me, go look on the internet. You can go Google right now all the pictures of kids being bitten at daycares. Biting from a child is a sign of aggression, of anger, of not getting something. Something's going wrong. So you have pictures of babies getting all bit up at a daycare, and there's only so many times where they're alone or not being paid attention to. So yeah, see, you guys are getting that. I know you guys are getting that mail. There's no way. There's a ton of people dropping that. Dr. Umar, yes, that one. Brother said wealth is asset-based, not income. Your class level coordinator always says based off assets, network, income, and I agree. It is. So again, if you're watching this channel, you know that I've already talked about that, right? Like, in order to be truly middle class, it has to be money coming in even after you lose your job. So what's the difference, right? The average person in America, if they skip a paycheck, which we saw this in mass. Now, this is the part that's crazy. Government workers, not all government workers, a lot of government workers get paid 15 to 20% higher than the average American in the private sector. But yet, when the government shutdown happened, all these people were about to lose their damn houses and their homes. That meant these people were on edge. People were one freaking paycheck away from homelessness. Like and when you'd ask them, well, why don't you tap out your TSP account? Why don't you dig in your savings? They already did it. The two sisters who both were government workers, and the furlough happened, they made the cheesecakes. They finally got picked up by Walmart. They sold so much cheesecake, they got picked up by Walmart. It's crazy. So again, to truly be middle class, to truly be a part of a certain group, it's not the money per se. It is do you own your home? Do you have assets? And a lot of people, oh, I don't want to own a home, Erica. I'm not asking you, do you want to own the house you live in? You can be like Grant Cardone and rent anywhere. But you need to own something. This is the way this country is skewing for the next 20 years. This is why you see Asian Americans who come here and they get the corner shops in the terrible areas. And like, I have friends whose moms who've bought restaurants in terrible areas, and now 20 years later, they're owning multiple houses, multiple cars, multiple everything. It's an asset. It's an asset game. It's not an income game, as always. You know. So again, agree on that. Okay, Trav, I see you. Facebook and Instagram are both down. Bootleg Capital One Credit One called Credit One. Yes, I mean, look, if you see Credit One hitting you up, listen, they know people are so pressed. They have these terrible interest rates for 29% interest, 26% interest that no one should be taking. Thanks for the great content. I can't wait to hear more about your trucking experience. Yeah, I'm basically just trying to keep all my investors informed first. So I've been recording videos for them, trying to deploy it this week and help them out, and show them what's going on. But it's been a very much a learning experience, and so it'll probably be breaking down into 3 videos of me talking about the trucking industry and what my thoughts are on it and where it's going and why I did it and the hiccups I had this past year. I think it'll be a good 3-series video. My score raised 682 last month, and been talking to my NAV rep, but thinking about getting your funding program, not being biased. What are your thoughts? Oh, my funding program? Listen, I'm always going to promote my courses. I'm telling you, when I put these courses together, I'm showing you what I'm doing step by step. This is what I'm doing step by step. This is how I did it. This is what I'm doing. This is where I apply. This is the companies I find. That's how informed those classes are. So, I mean, again, it's great money you spend. You killing that cold brew coffee. It's delicious. It's actually a frap. I didn't work for 4 years after I had my 2 sons. And you shouldn't if you don't want to, Miss Langley. Shouldn't. And this is, again, people say, oh, you're being old-fashioned about marriage and all that stuff. The economy will shift. And a lot of these people you see talking this yin-yang about they ain't never getting married, they ain't never doing this. I'm telling y'all, a lot of the people that are talking this stuff are married. And we know it. We talk behind the scenes with each other. That's how funny it is. We actually all talk they're doing all this vitriol against some of these women, but they actually talk to them off the side. All hey, how you doing? How's your channel? You gonna come on this week? I see it all the time. So these guys are telling you don't need a woman, you don't need this. That's why I give respect to Glenn and Cameron. At least he's honest. Look, you're gonna get old. You're gonna need somebody to take care of you. You're gonna want to have kids. If you got your stuff together, you can get a wife and be just fine. The answer to, and let me put it this way. I think men are naturally vocal, right? about their disdain for something. And so that's what you see on YouTube. But on the flip side, women will withdraw. Now, what does that mean? I see women all the time who are taking naps, and I'm being very honest here. I know people who are taking naps from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Taking naps, staying in their house, won't go out. Now, what happens between 5 p.m. and 8 p.m.? If we're honest, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. is the time you go to happy hours. 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. is the time you go to the gym. 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. is the time you interact with people and you meet people after work. If you are deciding, I'm going to take a nap, or I'm going to withdraw from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., you've already told me that you've given up. You've given up on the opportunity to do A, B, and C. And you don't want to interact with people or have any kind of weirdness to your calendar. That's just the truth. Because bedtime is, anybody calling you after 9:30, 10 o'clock, that's a booty call. Okay? Depending on where you live. Okay? But, people are withdrawing themselves out of the opportunity equation. So that's why I respect Glenn Cameron and several people on these channels who are like, dude, calm down. The more people you talk to, the better your results. It just is what it is. David Murray, network is key and tells the true story. Facts. And that's why when you hear people who are like, oh, I got all these student loans, should I pay stuff off before? Or should I do this instead, Erica? I'm always like, you tell me what you want to do. Because if you want to just pay stuff down, that's a crunch moment for the next 2-3 years solid. That's your only focus. You can't do both. You really have to hammer that one thing. If you're going to say, I'm going to work around it and buy one property a year regardless and let that house make that payment, okay. It just is what it is. Women are going to start opting out of kids in marriage. Well, I think what you'll see as far as the economy is, there was a story, you guys can Google it, is literally 7 Chinese women buy a house to live and die in together. It's an actual article. And they're Chinese women, but they bought a house in either Thailand or Bali. That's very beautiful, but it's cheaper than, China. And so that's their plan. Now you'll see people doing that. You'll see these living home places where you see people who are 65 and up. There are like apartments, but you still can interact in the community if you want to. I tried to explain to my cousin the benefits of stay-at-home wife, and he told me our old-fashioned outdated. That's funny. Again, he sounds like a 50-50 dude, and nobody wants to marry a 50-50 dude. Nobody, because what that man is telling you is, I don't have us. I financially don't have it. If you stay home from work, we gonna die. We broke. Like, that's a bad living situation. Now you'll look at a chart. It's an income chart. If I can pull it up again, I'll find it and pull it up on this channel and do a video on it. Women's income stays the same whether the woman are married or single, right? On average, the married woman makes about 40K. The single woman makes about 40 to 50K on average. Now, why is this? Because the married woman, if she's married and she can just kind of kick back, that's where you see a lot of these realtors make 40. Some of these school teachers make 40. It ain't a big deal, right? It's her money, whatever. The single woman, that's scary, right? They're still in that range. Now, there's a lot of single women who are making way more than that, but the end of the story is they're around the same age. Single men stay around 40 to 50,000. Married men at 20s and 30s go whoop through the roof. They start making on average 80,000, 90,000. They're the big earners in our economy. Now, the thought behind that, every single study I've seen, and I'll pull up more and more, is that the married guy has the whole people to take care of, like the wife, the kids, everybody, and they're earning more. So even if you have kids and you're a single guy and you're averaging like 50K a year, yeah, child support hurts because you're still in the mindset of a single guy. You're not thinking, I have kids, I need to make more, because they don't live with you 90% of the time. They don't. So sending your kids to daycare nowadays is like sending them to mini Rikers Island. That's terrible, but it's true. Tina L, opt out of getting credit card offers. Yeah, you can. So Tina L is correct. You can opt out of getting credit card offers, but you know what? The average American doesn't. For whatever reason, they just don't. Lots of credit cards from Capital One. Whoo, Capital One's trying to get that money. That NYC Brooklyn star, NYC is a trap for black children. Just look at Taylor Swift. The producer brought up all her music, and now she has egg on her face. I need to go Google that article. That'd be interesting. Read. I just stopped working full-time to care for my kids. Very true. That bonding is very nice. It is. My friend walked away from her job. She was the HR lead person there, and she has twins. And she literally, like, I was over there the other day, and she was singing to one of them, and I was like, oh. But it is. You need that bonding time. You just do. Every study shows those kids are more aggressive when you put them in daycare. I remember my little nephew one time came home, and he was punching. And what I realized is he possibly at school got punched, so now he knows to punch back. And it was the saddest thing. I just told my sister, I'm like, this is why I have to stay home. But you can't tell other people what to do with their kids. You just got to get your own kids and do what you need to do. Trust no daycare. That is why you grind it out while you're single. Facts. And I told everybody this. There's changes that are going to be happening. I do stuff that makes me happy, and I've told y'all that on the channel and the blogs. I'm making this money so that I can go live my Chip and Joanna Gaines life. Go sit down with my mister, have me some kiddos, adopt a kid or two, and live a big family life. So it is what it is. I had to stop driving for Uber and Lyft. It's killing me. These rate cuts are just horrible. Wow. So then you can switch over to Instacart. You can switch over to other stuff. But at the end of the day, they're hustles. And what I tell people to do is use that money and that time to figure out what you want to do out other than that. If you want to change careers or get a skill. Being middle class is about security and stability, yeah. Will you be doing any networking events in Austin soon? So Truth Hurts, my prime biggest event, thank you for asking. The biggest event, and I'll kind of wrap this video up. The biggest event I'm doing is the August 3rd and 4th. VIP dinner and boat party. So again, what is that? August 3rd, we're having a dinner. Be about 30 to 40 of us there. Dinner's on me. It's included in your ticket. Alcohol's on you. But the food, it'll be like an app and an entree. It'll be really good at a North Austin restaurant I have. And then on Sunday, we'll be on the boat party bar. So you're talking about who's going to be coming. You're talking about Andre Hatchett, Terry, Igioma, Terry out of Dallas. You're talking about Kier from Charm City Buyers, Rashana Scott out of Chicago, and several others. When they lock in, I'll tell you who's going to be all there. But that's the thing. It's like, that's the best event, and that's going to be my annual every year event. Now, next year, we're definitely going to have the boat party on Saturday and the dinner on Sunday, or brunch on Sunday. But this year is flipped. But this is going to be my annual Erica Williams event every year. Now, next year, we might make it even bigger, where we do like something in the daytime, and then, or the boat party, and then the brunch and the after meeting. But for now, this is the start of the annual event. So get yourself there. If you want to be in Austin, you want to talk to all these people I'm talking to on the internet and Instagram and talking about business and real estate with, and get in the room with them, this is the best event you'll have, opportunity for you to have, is the boat party and the VIP dinner. So dinner's part of your ticket. It's on August 3rd, 7 to 10ish. The boat is 11 to 3. We've got people flying in from Georgia, Florida, and New York coming on this party. People who bought their tickets already. So the host hotel, I think, is the Renaissance. We'll give out the details for that and the links. But again, this is your best opportunity to get in front of me and hang out and talk. This is your best chance, honestly. So, because the year is so crazy. But that's the Texas event. That's the big Texas event. Party barge can have 50 to 70 people on it. So we're open. We're just going to see how many people get in there. LOL, the M in MGTOW means married. Listen, the M in MGTOW, okay, so here's the thing. If MGTOW means men going their own way, you should be okay with a man that's getting married and a man that's choosing not to get married. But what you see on the internet is like, women are bad, ignore women, run away. And it's like, they're lying. They're playing up a character to you, because whenever you talk to them offline, they're totally a really nice guy who has a wife and kids and daughters and sons. And they're like, oh no, I don't mean that for me. It's the upper middle class thing, where they're telling you to do one thing and they're doing something else. You had all these people telling people not to invest in Detroit, not to invest in Baltimore, and they're sitting there investing their money left and right into those places. And on Bigger Pockets of all places. That's why we were so anti-Bigger Pockets for a long time. Because they're telling you not to invest in the hood, and that's what. And then in the comments they go, well, I had 2 properties over there and it did this or that. Well, you just said don't invest over there, but you got properties over there. Don't fall for it, y'all. What advice would you give to a person who wanted to get started from zero? Little income, no assets, bad credit. Double your income. The fastest way to change your life is to double your income. If you move your income up, you will see all these little 80% of your problems go away. Because a lot of y'all got problems like, oh, I'm paying late fees, I'm paying late payments, I got overdrafts on my bank account. More money solves that. The second part of that you're trying to solve is, what are you trying to do with it? Are you trying to buy a house? Are you trying to pay off your car? You need goals. Goals help you push towards a direction. If you just say go make more money, you'll eat up the money in your lifestyle. You'll start vacationing more. You'll start doing a bunch of silly stuff. I know somebody right now making $20K a month, and he is maxing out at least 18 grand a month and going out and traveling and tripping. I just know it. So we've talked. But anyway, so find a goal, find a purpose, find a mission, raise your income. Laura, hey, that's not my problem. I'm guilty of that. Marriage is a sign of stability, ironically. Yes, true. Been the bartender. Yep, I always nap after 4 p.m. See, that's what I'm saying. Credit solution, like if you take yourself out of the game from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., that's the number one time to meet people. Number one, that you're going to meet the most people, because people are out of the work. Proximity principle is real. Yes. Listen. You know how many women I've met at my church they're engineers married to engineers just because they were both working at the same place. There's 2 black ladies I know that when you see their husband, you're like, y'all married? Just like the most weird looking white guy. And you're like, where'd you meet him at? Work. It just is. It happens all the time. Hospital staffs, all kind of places. Teachers, all the time. Proximity. Again, half of the thing, 90% of it is showing up. When it comes to dating, marriage, or business, okay? I used to go out 2-stepping every Friday, and every week I'd have a date. That just was what it was. Then I got busy and didn't 2-step as much, but I'm like, you go out, just happens. So, a man can be red pill for his whole life. Can't be red pill his whole life. Okay, I get what you're saying. I heard a lot of stay-at-home moms say they are bored staying at home with their children and work outside of home. Why do you think that is? So again, mission and purpose. Mission and purpose. Are they on mission? Do they have a purpose to teach the children, to educate the children? Because this is what usually happens. When you're a stay-at-home mom, you find a group of other stay-at-home moms or you find a park, or you find day activities. Like most stay-at-home moms, actual schedules are actually really busy. If they're, I'm not knocking you who you know. I'm just saying most stay-at-home moms in middle class areas and upper middle class areas, those kids are going to events. They're practicing speaking a language. They're doing all kind of stuff. They're not just sitting at home randomly watching cartoons all day. That's not a real stay-at-home mom. That's a mom who's tired and she's watching cartoons, letting the cartoons watch. Most stay-at-home moms I'm talking about, they have play dates in their calendars at least 2-3 times a week. They're going to, like this one girl I know, she takes her kids to learn how to swim. So her little kids are learning how to swim, and it takes like an hour 3 times a week. So, you know, there's parts of the day that they schedule. So I think, again, is that mom on mission? Is she teaching her kid how to write? Is her kid learning how to write their name before they get to kindergarten? Have they learned how to read before they get to kindergarten? That's on your mama. That's not on the school. So if they're bored, it means they haven't really filled up their schedule with play dates, or they aren't. And also, let's put it twofold. Not only does she need to have play dates with other kids and other kids' moms, that gives her the conversation to talk with other women. So she has adult conversation during the day, and she needs to have a hobby or two. Most people I know that are married and even the kids are little, the mom still goes to BSF, which is Bible Study Fellowship, or has like some type of hobby she does in the week. Whether it's two-stepping, dancing, something where she's not with her kids. So that person needs to work on the schedule of their life. Yes, that's true. Studies are showing women are happy when they're single with no kids, up to a point. I mean, it's like anything. If you want something you can't get it, then you know that's with anything. That's with anything. If you're a man and you want kids and you can't have them, there was a guy on CNN. He has 5 kids he adopted as teenage boys because he wanted to have kids and he was getting older. He couldn't find, I guess in New York he couldn't find a woman. I don't know. 27-1. You know, there's plenty of women versus men in New York. But anyway, couldn't find a woman married. So he started adopting kids. He has 5 teenage boys. He adopted them all, you know, because late teens are the easiest to adopt. And so now he's like, yeah, it was tough, but, you know, it was great. Women wouldn't pay 100%. That's, okay, well, I don't know what you're talking about. Ah, okay. Women don't manage their time well as a wife. As a woman, it's your job to manage the home. CEO, yeah, CFO. Yeah, that's true. Actually, I read say that women today are more depressed than housewives and stay-at-home moms in the 50s. Yes, because of working. It's a lot easier. And honestly, every study shows you that women need more sleep than men, which sounds crazy. I know people are like, no. Yeah, every study shows they need like an extra hour of sleep more than men. Now, why is that important? Why does that matter what I'm talking about? Back in the day, you as a kid went to bed at 7 o'clock. Your mom and dad might have went to bed or just had quiet time and went to bed around 9 o'clock. Now, they could do whatever they want, but they went to bed around 9 o'clock, and then your mom got up at what? 5, 6, 7, 8 a.m. when you woke up. So there was a long time where she got to sleep, and you went to bed early as a kid. So your kids used to go to bed at 7 p.m., 7:30 p.m., and get up at 6 a.m. School, daylight hours, you know, children feel the light on the window and they just get up. But when people don't have those schedules, I'm meeting every day. I'm seeing women with kids at restaurants at 10 o'clock, the kids screaming. The kid's not on schedule. I'm seeing people who are up on Facebook at 11 o'clock, kids up. Kids are not on schedule. So, of course, you're tired. Of course, you're exhausted. Yes, true. I believe your faith works. Kids used to bite my daughter ever so often at daycare. Me and my ex-wife didn't put our daughter in daycare until she was 2 years old. Wow, yeah. I have a full-time job and still drive Lyft and social media evaluator. God bless you for all these videos. You have made my dream even bigger. Looking to rental invest apartment. Thank you. I love your program, Erica. Thanks for your mind-opening insight. Thank you. Great info. Thank you. Grant Cardone says don't buy a house. Again, are you Grant Cardone? Do you own an apartment? If you don't, again, Grant Cardone even says this. If you love Grant Cardone this much, you need to listen to where he says, careful whose advice you listen to and where they're at in the cycle. Now, what does that mean where they're at in the cycle? Where Gary Vee is in his cycle, where Grant Cardone is in his cycle, where Dave Ramsey is in his cycle. Dave Ramsey got burnt by a bunch of debt, so he says don't do any debt. Pay it all off, right? It was when he got in that cycle, he got burnt. So he's telling you something from burnt. But do you think Dave Ramsey, to build that whole building, is not using some business loans to build that whole building? Come on now. Come on now. So all debt isn't bad. Again, if you're someone in America who's only going to make $40,000 as a teacher or whatever in your city and state for the rest of your life, and rent is $2,000 and going up, you owning a home and your mortgage will only be $1,000, that's a mathematical blessing. Okay, that's the smart thing to do. But again, won't fight with people. Dave Ramey says saying credit is bad when wouldn't have become famous. Yeah, okay. Yeah. There are stay-at-home moms that work out at the park where I live with babies and strollers. If you're always bored, something's wrong. Yeah, if you're always bored, you're a boring person. Let's keep it that way. Whoop whoop. BSF lays a great foundation for a child of Christ. True. I taught myself how to make soap. Whoop. There you go. Find hobbies. Yes, going to parks, water splash, lots of teaching actually can be busy and fun. Thank you. When people tell me they're bored and they ain't got nothing to do, you're not really teaching your child shit. I know you ain't. Yeah, my child go to bed at 8 during school year. There you go. Yeah, probably got us. Good credit is the foundation for business, real estate, and property. Yeah, all that. For sure. But look, I've been on 1 hour and 5 minutes. I was only pulling over to let the traffic swirl by. So thank you guys for all being here. I appreciate it. Thank you for supporting the channel. Make sure you hit the like button. And make sure you come to the August 3rd or 4th boat party event. It'll be here in Austin. That's going to be my annual thing every year I do, is the big Austin boat party. Probably try to do twice a year, but we're going to do 1 year here. So definitely try to come to that. The links are in the description. Don't miss it. If you're in Los Angeles, July 9th. The best thing you can do is Tuesday midday mastermind. It's a ticket, but it's going to be intensive. Set you up, get you straight. But the after party at Shaquille's happy hour, don't even try to come here with deep questions. Come, meet, mingle, but it's not going to be as deep as the mastermind in the daytime. It just won't be. So July 13th is the is the bus tour in Chicago. Don't miss it. Terry's going to be there too. So anyways, you guys, thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Hit the like button.